Hi, folks. Dale York, Just Fish Outdoors, and we have a very, very special guest on the phone this evening. His name is Whitt Smith, and he is a five-star guide down on fabulous Lake Fork down in northeast Texas. Whitt, come on in, introduce yourself, and tell us a little bit about you and what you do.
Well, hi, Dale. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, Dale, I'm a full-time licensed professional guide here on Lake Fork for largemouth bass, catch and release fishing. And little background on me is I'm a retired police officer from a Dallas suburb where I worked for 30 years. And but I've always been a Lake Fork junkie and fisherman. I came over here and wet a hook for the first time in April of 1989, and the love affair started, and I've just been fishing it as much as I can since then, off and on, and always had weekend places and stuff like that throughout my career. I was over here all the time as much as I could, and it's kind of therapy for me from all the stuff I saw on the job. And so anyway, just always knew I'd move over here when I got done policing, and just couldn't believe it. And it was love at first sight, and just been fishing it as much and as hard as I could, ever since then.
Yeah, I tell you, Lake Fork, holds so many precious memories for me as well. It's one of those awesome lake to fish, and you're somewhat fortunate to live so close and be guiding on it. But it is just the most fantastic lake I think I've ever fished in the United States.
Oh man, I totally agree. It was I hear that from customers and friends, and I agree. I feel blessed, and it's just it is that special place when you come see it and experience it and fish it. Not just the legacy, but it still what it is today. It's a beautiful place. It's a largemouth factory, and it has some big fish in it, and it's a great place.
Yeah, one of the things that continues to just amaze me too, Whit, is this lake was impounded in 1980, I believe. I started fishing it. It was either 83 or 84. I can't remember which. But this lake is over 40 years old, and it just continues to produce and pump out double-digit fish year after year after year. And I think we have to take our hats off to the Texas Park and Wildlife Department somewhat, but also everyone who fishes it for their great catch and release that they do on this lake.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, Parks and Wildlife they planned it so great from the get-go, and with the restrictive slot limits, and and then everybody's compliance. It's really paid off and kept the legacy alive.
Yeah, it just like I said, it just continues to produce large fish. So let's talk a little bit about, it's December. Obviously, we're in the cold weather month. Lake temperature will probably drop a little bit more before it starts warming, but I don't think we typically, chime in here on what your thoughts are, but I don't think we typically see much cooler water temps than the mid 40s or even high 40s before it starts warming again. What are your thoughts?
Right. Yeah. That's it. We're blessed in that we can fish 12 months a year down here, and I pretty much guide year round. Now through early to mid March, I run strictly night guided trips for trophy bass, and then run day trips in latter March, through May, June, July, and then I'll mix in some combo, evening night trips in the summertime if people are interested in that, or we can do an all day trip, whatever they prefer.
Yeah, I know you're pretty much an all-around guide as far as day or night. You guide both, and there's some advantages and disadvantages for both of them. It just depends on the anglers that's coming down to book with you, their choice to some extent. But let's talk about what you normally see as far as the yearly migration and perhaps the yearly water depths, water temps, and even let's talk a little bit about some of the baits you would recommend for somebody coming down? Let's start off in the cold weather months, and let's say from January to the end of February, maybe even mid-March. What are you normally seeing around that time of year, and perhaps help someone with what kind of water depth they should be looking at, and maybe even some tips on what are your favorite baits that time of year?
You bet, Dale. Starting in, say, January, I mean, you're going to always have your shallow fish, and then you have fish that are going to be related to points and shad schools or big crappie schools out deep. And you can target those with, during the day with flutter spoons or jerk baits. And I throw a lot of V&M jigs in the wintertime, targeting the shallower fish on, wood structure and stuff like that.
Okay. And we're typically still seeing that water temperature in the mid to upper 40s and maybe starting to tickle that 50-degree mark. Is that typically what you see for late February?
Yeah, it is. I mean, this past year, everybody knows we got hammered by a bad blizzard, but typically, it starts creeping out of that cold winter time, and you start getting a movement of large pre-spawn females, and they're really looking for a big meal and to feed up before the impending spawn.
Okay.
It's just such a great time to catch a really large fish.
Yeah, I echo that sentiment exactly. If you can be around there when those large females first start moving up or nosing up, that is an excellent time to catch, your personal best, as we say. Okay,
no doubt about it.
Okay, that'll take us out of February. Now we're getting into middle of March and April, and boy, how things change.
Oh yeah, it's a busy time here, and in the bass world at Lake Fork, and all kind of stuff opens up, and you start getting some bedding fish. You have pre-spawn fish, spawning fish. Guys that like to fish flats and grass and stuff like that. You can break out the lipless cranks and the bladed jigs during the day, or you can still target big fish on jigs like I like to do at night. There's just all kind of stuff in play at that time of the year. And then when you roll into April, it really becomes a bed fishing game, but you still have pre-spawn fish and even post-spawn fish at that time. You can target main lake points are a really good place to target those fish coming and going.
Yeah, you just have a wide swing of things that you can throw pretty much anything in the tackle box and catch fish in that March and April swing. But you also have, there's quite a bit of pressure on the lake by then. So, one needs to think about that. And, sometimes even on those high bluebird days, it may be in your best interest to throw something small. Perhaps get some bites that the bigger baits may not.
Oh yeah, I agree 100%, Dale. The first double-digit fish I caught on this lake was on a little bitty bait, in March, and so downsizing can definitely help you with the pressure, with the calm bluebird days. But you can also, move out and hit points or seawalls with big glide baits and swim baits, and it kind of just opens up into what you want to do, what can you, what you're capable of fishing, what your strengths are, what your confidence is.
Yeah, and water clarity can really change and be a lot different from one week to the next this time of year, depending on, if we get a real strong spring rain or a strong spring cold front, that can really impact your patterns and what you're throwing and what you're catching.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. You really got to pay attention to that. It might, necessitate slowing down, or like you said, downsizing, or if you were on some shallower fish, backing out to the first break line or the first set of stumps and fishing tight to cover.
Yeah, it's just, it's almost a day-by-day changing situation that you really, really have to pay attention to, and even on what part of the lake you're on. If you're up in some of the other creeks like Coffee Creek or Glade Creek, and we've had a pretty good spring rain, you're going to find a lot of difference in the watercolor up in those creeks compared to maybe back down by SRA or back down by 154 Bridge. Water generally is going to be somewhat cleaner down in that area.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, the lake really fishes different from top to bottom.
Yeah, it can really. Okay, that'll take us through say mid-April into toward the end of April. Now we're getting into what can be, in my humble opinion, feel free, tell us what you think. But we're getting into May and June, and that can really be some of the best times to fish Lake Fork.
Oh yeah, I really love that time in the post pond, and when the fish first get out on deeper structure, they put on the feed bag, and it's a great time to catch some good fish, and to get on them, you catch them quick, and they're ready to eat.
What are you normally looking for in May and June as far as water depth and patterns, and what do you like throwing as far as baits that time of year?
And even backing up, say starting in May, but back up to maybe the end of April as we get a really good shad spawn, excuse me, that kicks off at the end of April or the latter part of April and runs through usually the first 3 weeks of May. And you start off in the morning with top waters, walking baits, and then when that bite shuts down, you can back out and fish square bills and Carolina rig on just back out from the areas where you were catching them on top. And then as we proceed into June and early July, I'm looking for that 15, 18, 20 foot of water. And I throw a lot of big Texas rig worms, 1/2 ounce, 3/8 ounce Texas rig worms on the 20-pound line.
Yeah, I've had some pretty good luck down there that time of year, fishing the big worms, big power worms, and also even fishing jigs. 1/2 ounce or 3/4 ounce jigs. I've caught a lot of fish that time of year fishing that bait as well. Sometimes it's hard to beat that pumpkin green with green flake worm or even the jig. That's one of my favorite colors when the water is fairly clear down there. Is any specific colors that stand out to you?
Yeah, those are great. I mean, football jigs or road beds, or bridges and structure like that is dynamite, or long extended flat points that reach out into the main lake. And when you get on your electronics and you kind of determine the depth that the bait or the bass are in, and then you just run around and scout and fish those same depths on those same types of structure. And I throw a lot of the hotter it gets, maybe the plum colored worms and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's interesting. I've never really thrown a lot of the plum colors down on that lake, but that's interesting that that's one of your favorite colors. Even old dogs like me can learn something new every day, and folks, that brings up a really good point that I want to make. If you have someone in your family or know someone that you're going to purchase a Christmas gift for this year that likes to fish and maybe is just getting into fishing. This gentleman we're talking to right now, that's one of his specialties, is really trying to teach new techniques and tips and beginning fishermen how to further their art. And there's no better way to flatten out that learning curve, especially in bass fishing, than to go with a top and rated guide. And Whitt is definitely one of those guys. And Whitt, you was mentioning earlier that you're running a Christmas gift certificate special.
Yes, sir. Yeah, doing $50 off of full day guide trips for anybody that purchases a gift certificate between now and Christmas.
Yeah, folks, that's an awesome deal, I guarantee you. And Lake Fork, is not that far from about everybody. It's centrally located, fairly easy to get to. And Whitt is definitely one of those gentlemen that we would highly recommend that you get in touch with. Whitt, what's that phone number people can reach you at?
Dale, that phone number is 972-743-2046.
And folks, once again, we're talking to Whitt Smith, and he's a 5-star guide on Lake Fork, fabulous Lake Fork, down in Northeast Texas. Is probably one of the hottest, if not the hottest, big bass lake in the nation, and has been for many years. And Whitt has top shelf equipment. He knows what he's doing. Many-year guide down there. So if you're looking to purchase that gift for that fisherman, or even the beginner fisherman in your family, give Whitt a call. Chat with him, and I think you'll be glad you did. He'll fix you right up. So that takes us now. We're past June. Now we're starting to get into the dog days of summer. What kind of patterns do you normally see, Whitt, and what are you throwing at them?
Yeah, sometimes the numbers can slow down, but sometimes the size just gets bigger. And I still throw a big worm. I might throw, which in addition to plum, I mean, there's a lot of great colors, and red bug is another popular one, or watermelon candy. And we'll also start adding in a lot of drop shots, like a drop shot straight tail worm, or and you can even, if you're around big fish or if you're around heavy timber, then we might even throw a mag drop shot. You can throw it on a bait caster and 20-pound test, and go at them that way. They're just going to get sluggish to where they don't chase as much, and you're going to have to grind a little more. But we catch some big fish and even some of the over the slots fish in July and early August.
Yeah, that's that can be kind of all a really good day, or in my humble opinion, a really bad day. It is kind of fun.
Absolutely.
It's kind of like you win everything or lose everything. Plus it's boy, it can be hot out there in mid-August down on that lake, and you have not very much wind. It can be super tough down there. Okay, that'll get us through August, somewhere around in there. Any other tips you want to provide on summertime down there, Whitt?
Yeah, absolutely, Dale. I mean, the fish here, and maybe other places too, but they'll start making their move toward the bank earlier than you think, because we start getting a turnover. Some years it's in September or October, but the fish will start moving shallower and or getting around docks and stuff like that way sooner than you would really anticipate or think yourself. So I'll start checking boat docks and brush piles around timber and points, working your way back into creeks, not in the back of them, but start at the mouth or halfway back into creeks and looking for them and catching them there that way. And shaky heads are really good that time of the year, or the drop shot around the boat docks. But a shaky head, 7-inch straight tail worm or a finesse worm is dynamite that time of the year.
And don't you also think, or tell me what your thoughts are on this, but seems like that July and August there seems to be multiple patterns. There doesn't seem to be one that works necessarily better than the other. There's based on my experience, there's deep fish, there's medium depth fish, and there's also shallow fish. Is that what you see as well?
Yeah, I sure do. I agree with you on that.
Yeah, if you can find grass beds or things of that nature, or sometimes those fish will school up just at the beginning of a creek on a bend or on a little hump or something. If you can find spots like that, sometimes you can just wear them out.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. When you find them grouped up like that, it can be on.
Now, once again, folks, we're talking to Whitt Smith. He's a 5-star guide on Lake Fork, and he specializes in taking people fishing and having a good time, and he does know what he's talking about. So, Whitt, what's that phone number again?
972-743-2046.
And folks, like I said, if you're looking to get that fisherman and family a gift this year, Whitt's running a special. And tell us a little bit more about that special you're running on that certificate, Whitt.
Oh, you bet, Dale. It's $50 off a full day guided trip if they purchase that between now and Christmas. And the great thing about that, Dale, is they can, the recipient can receive it, and then they can get with me and work out the details and the date, whenever they prefer to come, and what kind of time of the year they like, or what pattern they want to learn or work on. And we can set it up that way if they have any questions. or anything, we can get that all figured out and try to tailor a trip to what they're looking for.
Oh man, what a what a flattening to the learning curve right now, right there, folks. You heard what Whitt said. If that young fisherman or just the beginning fisherman is wanting to work on a specific technique, call Whitt up, get one of those certificates, and that beginning fisherman or advanced angler, even if they just want to work on a technique,
Yep.
can call Whitt. And Whitt will, I'm sure, probably recommend the time of year he or she needs to come to work on that technique. And I'm sure Whitt can get her done. Wouldn't you say, Whitt?
Well, we'll sure give it our best. I know that, and it's just a fabulous lake to fish, and kicks out a lot of personal best.
Oh man, it certainly does. Okay, now we're out of August. We're going into September, October-ish. Tell us a little bit about what you're seeing normally in that time of year, and kind of where you're targeting those fish and what you're targeting them with.
Oh, and yeah, in September, I mean, that's when they really kind of start making their migration back a little bit. And so the shaky head's a big deal for me, catching them around boat docks, brush piles, still some fish, caught on humps on drop shots or way out on main lake points on flat tapering points that go way out on a drop shot. In October, anytime we get around that turnover, when that turnover happens, the bass are going to move to the bank because that's where your oxygen is in that shallow water. So you want to move there. When you start seeing bubbles or brown off-colored water, is take it to the bank and start covering water with a square bill or a rattle trap, buzz bait, things of that nature.
Yeah, don't you think, or has it been your experience that you also can really smell when the lake is turning over to a certain extent?
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
It usually, for me, it's more visual. You can see that, things from the bottom coming up to the top, and it's just when you see it, you just know what's going on.
Yeah, you'll see perhaps rotted vegetation or even some moss or something floating on the top of the water, as opposed to what you didn't see a week before that.
Correct.
Yeah, that time of year can be so challenging for that 10 day to 2 week period. I totally agree with you. Covering lots of water is what you have to do.
Yeah, and just go shallow, go to the bank. That's the best thing I can tell you.
Yeah. It can be tough for, like I said, for those 10 days or 2 weeks.
Oh yeah.
Any other tips for that time of year that you'd like to share with the folks?
No, not too many I can think of.
Okay. Well, that puts us through the turnover. Now we're in late October, November-ish. Talk us through what you're doing in that time frame and where you're doing it.
Well, for me, I'm starting to think about the night bite. So I'm going to start running trips and just focusing on that 100%. But you can also chase them with jerk baits, suspended in trees that are, say, 10 to 12, 8 foot with jerk baits. You can start frog fishing or, running banks with square bills and buzz baits and things of that nature.
Yeah, that's a pretty active time, don't you think, for these fish as they're feeding up for the fall? They're basically eating everything they can get their mouth around
Right.
before they get into that cold weather period where their metabolism starts shutting down, and
Right.
they have a tendency just to hang out instead of eating much.
Yeah, it's just we've had a warmer fall than normal, so that bite hadn't really turned on as early as it did the last whole bunch of years. But it's really cranked up now, and they're starting to put the feedback on for sure right now for me.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. That I think we've experienced that warmer than normal fall all over the south central part of the United States. I know the same thing here in Oklahoma where I'm at. We had a 77-degree day last week. So
Yeah, wow.
You don't know whether to put your shirt sleeves shirt on or your coat on. You just don't know what you're going to get into till you get out there sometimes.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, we've been going back and forth.
Oh yeah, I totally agree. And folks, that's another interesting thing that Whitt was talking about there. If you've never experienced a night fishing trip, That's really something that is totally different than anything else you'll ever experience in the realm of bass fishing. And you need to, if you're going to do that, you need to go with someone who's got some experience doing that. I mean, we could do a whole show on just boat preparation for night fishing. I mean, there's a lot of things that you have to consider. Safety being number one, of course. For those of you who aren't familiar with Lake Fork, it is a stump-infested piece of real estate.
Yes, sir.
So you need to be with someone who knows where they're at, knows where they're going, and doesn't get you in trouble in the meantime. But boy, is it fun! It's just like nothing you've ever encountered, don't you think, Whit?
Yes, absolutely, Dale. It's just a unique fishing experience, and the lake just gets a lot of pressure, and just those big fish really feed at night, and it's just a great way to catch a lot of good fish, or a personal best or two.
I have a personal thought on that, Whit, and perhaps you tell me what your thoughts are, but I truly believe that the more pressure a lake gets, coupled with the clearer the water gets, the more nocturnal those big fish get. What are your thoughts on that?
That could be possible. Yeah, that's a very good thought, Dale.
Yeah, that's just something I've hatched over the years of night fishing many lakes in many different regions. But it is interesting. And folks, give Whit a call. And Whit, what's that number again?
972-743-2046.
And what if someone was to call you and book a full day trip? Take us through what you normally do for a customer for a full day trip.
Okay, Dale. Yeah, that's going to include 8 hours of fishing, and I'm just going to focus on them. I just try to run the boat and electronics and boat control, and I make it all about the client fishing and casting, and I welcome inexperienced to the experienced angler. We get all types from all over the United States and world, and we'll be out there fishing hard for 8 hours. And the night trips, we can start them. In the summertime, we'll start them before it gets dark. And then this time of the year, we're more going to focus from, say, sunset and go after them after that.
Yeah, it's a lot nicer weather conditions fishing July and August at night than it is during the day. I can guarantee you that. That's for sure.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, we do catch some big fish during the day and in the heat of the summer. This July 17th this year, a fellow and I caught 30 plus pounds, and in the late afternoon. So
wow,
you can't dismiss that either. But it was offshore and like deep timber with big worms. So it's kind of whatever people want to do. There's like you said, there's different patterns working at different times, and we're blessed to have all that going on at Lake Fork.
Yeah, folks, like I said, I want to reiterate that again and kind of focus on that. If you've got a fisherman in your family that perhaps is just beginning, or a novice, or even some of the more advanced fishermen, and they want to learn a new technique, they want to have a chance at catching their personal best ever, and just fishing with, like I said, a 5-star guide, you need to give Whitt a call. And right now, for that Christmas gift, he's offering a special gift certificate. And Whitt, go ahead and tell us about this gift certificate again, and give us your phone number.
Okay, Dale. Yeah, I'm offering $50 off a full day guide trip for anybody that purchases a gift certificate from me between now and Christmas, and we can email that certificate or mail it in the U.S. mail to them, whatever they prefer. And if they give me a call on my phone number at 972-743-2046, I can let them know the different avenues to pay and get that certificate to them.
Yeah, folks, I cannot stress enough that one full day trip with a guide like Whitt will enhance that bass fisherman's skills 100-fold in one day. The bass fishing is all about the nuances and the small things as much as it is the large things. And the only way you can learn that is time on the water or trips with a full-time professional guide. I guarantee you it'll make your fish catches go up tremendously just spending a day with Whitt, because everything he's going to teach you, you basically can apply to your home waters. It's just such a great flattening of that learning curve to be able to do that. So, Just Fish Outdoors highly recommends you do that to make sure that beginning or advanced fisherman can learn those new skills and put them to use. Whitt, man, I certainly appreciate you coming on the show this evening. The tips that you've provided, and it's just going to be awesome for the people that's coming down to Lake Fork. I certainly want to stress those people getting ready to come down next spring or thinking about coming down next spring to give Whitt a call. I'm sure that he will put you on the fish, and more than that, you'll have fun doing it. Whitt, what's that phone number again?
Yeah, Dale, it's 972-743-2046. And I can also help steer people to lodging. We have a lot of great lodging opportunities around the lake, and I can help them with that and any other, food recommendations on where to eat and get tackle.
Yeah, that's awesome. My favorite place to stay when I'm down there is the Burning Stump. I just don't think there's any place like that place anywhere around that place. So that has to be the place. So anyway, you can look them up, and I'm sure you'll be happy with them as well. But Whitt, like I said, Whitt has a lot of great recommendations. He lives there. He's there every day, so he knows what's going on. Whitt, any final thoughts or comments you'd like to make?
Oh, I appreciate the time, Dale, tonight, and really enjoyed it. And if people are interested, I just recommend they book and plan their time, to come here sooner than later, because it gets really busy, and I hate for them to not be able to, fish or get the dates that they want or the dates they can take off.
Yeah, folks, you need to call Whitt, and you need to call him pretty quick. And also, man, take advantage of that $50 off gift certificate for that angler and the family. Boy, that person will thank you a million times for that, helping that angler through their journey through this somewhat interesting sport we call bass fishing. But
yeah, I've got a little story about that too. This summer, a gentleman brought his son, and it was a gift certificate Christmas deal, and they came and fished with me, and the young man caught his personal best giant over the slot fish on a jig.
Wow. And that's a hard bait to learn to fish.
Yeah, it was a swim jig, and
oh wow,
and a lot of people are new to the swim jig, and we throw a V&M swim jig, and yeah, he stuck with it, and he was real coachable, and worked it just like I told him, and he ended up getting a giant fish out of it, and it was a gift certificate special.
I'm sure you're the same way, Whitt, but when I take folks fishing, I'd rather them to catch one than me catch 100. So. Oh yeah,
100%. Yeah.
It just puts a huge grin on my face when I see that person when they catch that fish. It just warms me more than it does them, I think.
I agree.
All righty, folks, that'll just about wind it up for another Just Fish Outdoors edition. Once again, we've been talking to Whitt Smith, who is a 5-star guide down on Lake Fork, down in Northeast Texas. Give Whitt a call. He's running a special on his gift certificates right now. And Whitt, that phone number once again is 972-743-2046. Okay, folks, that'll wrap it up for another edition of Just Fish Outdoors. I'm your host, Dale York, and we've been chatting with Whitt Smith, 5-star guide down on Lake Fork. So that'll end it up for this trip. Once again, Whitt, we certainly appreciate you being on the show and giving us all that absolutely great information that you provided to us. And we'll catch you down the road. This is Dale York for Just Fish Outdoors saying thanks, Whitt Smith, and we'll talk to y'all later.